Today we're going to read Mrs. Moe's Monster by Paul Beavis. Now there's no preview on what this book is about, but I'm going to read to you the back. One day there was a knock at the front door. Mr. Moe was gardening, so Mrs. Moe went to see who it might be. And I have a feeling it's this guy.
Mrs. Moe's Monster by Paul Beavis. One day there was a knock at the front door. Mr. Moe was gardening, so Mrs. Moe went to see who it might be. And in ran a monster. He was looking for something to crunch, munch, and chew. That's what monsters do. Not even a hello, said Mrs. Moe. How rude. Mrs. Moe soon found the monster crunching on a paintbrush. Excuse me, said Mrs. Moe. How will we paint things now? The monster thought and thought, but he only knew what he knew, so he roared, I crunch, munch, and chew, and off he ran. Next, Mrs. Moe found the monster munching on a ball of string. Excuse me, said Mrs. Moe. How will we tie things now? The monster thought and thought, but still he only knew what he knew, so he roared, I crunch, munch, and chew, and off he ran. A little later, Mrs. Moe found the monster chewing on a spoon. Now I know what you can do, said Mrs. Moe. But shall we try something new? No, roared the monster. No, 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 and off he ran. That Mrs. Moe can't tell me what to do, he grumbled. I am a monster. And what I do is crunch, munch, and chew. When the monster had finished, he wondered what else he could do. He thought and thought and thought some more, but still he only knew what he knew. Then he had an idea. Excuse me, said the monster. What is this you do? I'm painting letters, said Mrs. Moe. Shall I show you how? Said the monster. That's something I could never do. And what is this you do? Asked the monster. I'm tying things, said Mrs. Moe. It's easy. You try. Said the monster. That's another thing I could never do. Now what is this you do? Asked the monster. I'm stirring cake mix, said Mrs. Moe. Said the monster. That's something I could definitely do. And together they started to mix. When everything was ready, Mrs. Moe and the monster shouted, Surprise! Thanks ever so much, said Mrs. Moe. I couldn't have done this without you. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Mrs. Moe and the monster went to see who it might be. And in ran 2 children. They were looking for something to bash, smash, and throw. That's what children do. Not even a hello? Said the monster. How rude. I hope you enjoyed reading Mrs. Moe's Monster with me. Maybe you can find something new to try, just like Mrs. Moe's Monster did in the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Miss Dana's channel. I can't wait to read to you again soon. Bye, friends, and see you next time.